Hello everybody, hope you're doing okay. Welcome to East Meon at sunset and a rather nice sky behind us there with some hills I'll be hoping to run up if I get time afterwards. So this is the Puma Velocity Nitro 4. Bit of a hype shoe, not because it's sort of amazing, but it's sort of amazing for the price, or is it? Well, I've got the Velocity Nitro 3 here, which I've had good use out of. I've done about 170 miles in them. And I think the difference between the two, the version 4, has got the full nitro foam, whereas previously it was nitro foam just on this top bit here, and it was a more sort of standard EVA type stuff, which was okay, but you kind of feel like you're paying for what you get. But the good thing is that these are only £110, and if you were good enough to get a discount at sports shoes or something like that, you can get 15% off. I failed in that respect and got them from Puma, thinking they'll be sort of selling out, but they got a load of different colourways. This was kind of the release colourway. I didn't think the colourways are that great, but I thought, well, this is not a bad one. I prefer this in the 3, but they didn't really have a colour like that this time, so I had to go with this one. But in terms of like the actual difference between the shoes, the big difference is it's lost a lot of weight. So for me in a UK 13, this is about 287 grams, whereas the version 3 was about 335, something like that. So it's a significant weight, and just picking them up, you do feel that there's actually a bit of a difference there. Not quite so noticeable on foot, but we all think having 60 grams less on a daily trainer is something to be really light. But in terms of the actual rides, I was thinking, well, I was expecting the nitro foam to be more like perhaps the Fast R, but I think considering you're paying £110 as opposed to about 230, 240 for the top of the range shoe, I think you're definitely getting what you pay for. And although this nitro foam's nice and it's a slightly softer feel, I would say overall, than this one, although not much in it, and I think the notable similarity for me is that under the toes you just feel a bit of ground feel. If you're a bit of a Pegasus 41 fan, which I must say that I did enjoy doing that shoe, and also something like the Pegasus Plus, which has very much the sort of feeling that it's got a nice foam, but sometimes you do feel like you're feeling your toes through the ground a bit. And it's a very similar feel to me in the Nitro 4. Almost identical to how it felt in the Nitro 3. So in that sense, if you're expecting some sort of massively cushioned shoe, then definitely look to something like the Vomero Plus that's coming out in a few weeks' time, isn't it? So yeah, this is definitely very much on the sort of a basic trainer. But I think this foam is definitely something now that Puma are really challenging on the market. And I think it's so much sort of good hype around the Outsole, although personally I didn't think that was much of a great shoe for me. Just found the rocket a bit too much for me and passed it on to Andy FOD runner. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of what you're getting for the money here, it's certainly a very good value. So in terms of the overall look of it, it's always a good amount of lacing I find with the Puma. Very easy to get a good lockdown. And I would say of all the brands, I would say the Puma probably on average comes out the narrowest of all the brands, so which is great for me with a long narrow foot. Some people may not be able to wear this, I feel, because it is definitely on the narrower side. I don't say it's a narrow shoe, but I think if you've got a wide foot, then definitely you might want to look elsewhere for this one. And conversely, something like the Rebel V5 was way too wide for me. I bought those, put them on, decided this was a complete waste of money, put them back in the box and sent them back for a refund. So if you've got a wide foot and you're looking for a daily trainer at a reasonable price, then I'll definitely look at the Rebel V5 over these ones. But yeah, you may be okay. But yeah, buyer beware there. The tongue is quite nice. It's a nice gusted tongue for the Albury bigger than running fans. So that's good. And it's got a nice bit of padding where you do the lace across here. So that's sort of quite nice, just in the right sort of place. And it's a bit thinner further up. Previously on the version 3, I felt it had a bit more of a neoprene sort of style to it. So, but it is kind of similar, I would say. And that also had a gusted tongue. Just a bit of difference in the lacing was the V3 had more of this sort of Puma tape stuff, where they seem to have like got rid of that or not made it so obvious on this one for sure. So yeah, in that sense, although I've got narrow feet, you can see I haven't pulled in the laces too much, so that's quite good for me. The upper's quite nice and basic. You know, you would say that this is like a engineered mesh, isn't it, that they call them? You never quite know what that means, but all these shoe tubers seem to say it, and yeah, it's probably a reasonable description of what it is. In terms of the outsole, well, yeah, it's a good Puma grip outsole, not had any problems there. Oh, it's been so dry recently in the UK, hasn't been too bad. Though that said, I did take it out for a trail run last night, so it certainly worked there, and had a bit of rain the other night, and just sort of like a few puddles here and there if you saw my shorts, and it survived fine. In terms of how it compares to the V3, Well, it's a bit of a different traction pattern, but it's basically similar. And I think they may have just slightly reduced the rubber just very marginally, especially at the heels and in the middle there on the V4 at the bottom there, but not much. And if you look at the wear pattern on the V3 at the top there, where I have my most wear under my toes, although, yeah, it definitely has sort of eroded, and already after about 20 miles, I can see some signs of it pulling down there. But I think this is a very minimal rubber outsole for this type of shoe, so I don't expect this shoe to last too long in terms of, like, you know, a really long amount of mileage. If I get sort of 200 out of this one, like this one, I thought that won't be too bad. You might think that's not great, but I think, well, sometimes I think a bit after 200 miles, I think the midsole starts to go anyway, and maybe I just get bored of a shoe and on to the next one. But yeah, you now sort of feel, actually picking them out, how light it is compared to the V3. I said, actually on the run, I made feel that it wasn't quite as light as anything. That may be partly because I've been used to wearing Vaporfly 4s at 220 grams, and the speeds are about 280, so very similar. What I would say about the ride of this one, you don't get too much back from it. It's a very much you have to do all the work type of shoe. I mean, there's no assisted technology in this, there's no plates, there's no rods, there's no shanks, I think. So yeah, it does bend quite a lot, so that's something to be aware of. But in a daily trailer, something that's sort of reasonably light, something that's reasonably cushioned, have a bit of sort of gap and go about it. It's certainly very much a welcome shoe. And I think it's the sort of shoe that you can, in terms of pick up the pace if you want to, that would be fine. It's one of those shoes, like, if you're not sure what sort of run you want to do, but you know you're not doing a session, then you're certainly one that you could take out for that for sure. In terms of the back, a slight offset there at the back. There's a lot of padding in the heels, but it doesn't seem to affect me. If you compare that to version 3, you would say perhaps that the version 4 has a slightly more of a kickback on the Achilles flare there, doesn't it? But yeah, you can really sort of push that back. I'd say that the heel counter is a bit more to it, actually, than the version 3, just pushing that in, just a bit more resistance to it, but it's still a fairly minimal one, I'd say. You know, modern takes now, not having a really massively rigid plastic heel counter like they did in the old days have gone. If you compare the backs there, they've got the same spongy bit. They're not quite sure what's going on there. You think, well, all this business here just seems a lot of rubber at the back. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's adding too much to it. And you can certainly tell from the back what type of shoe it is, can't you, for sure? The insoles are pretty much the same, removable. I think they are identical. And so all in that sense is good. I think the actual length is absolutely as I would expect. I'd certainly go true to size in this. Sometimes Pumas, you think, have got a bit more room at the front. I think didn't notice quite as much room to stepping feel as say on the Fast R3s, but definitely I wouldn't want to go any other size in this one for sure. So I think that's a tick in the box. So yeah, so far I've done about 20 miles in it, done 3 runs, they've all been okay. I haven't been doing too much running through July. I had a bit of a pull in my thigh doing some 150s pour an 800, which I didn't actually manage to get to the line on, and then that sort of morphed into sort of pains at the top of my groin. So I think finally now I'm starting to feel a bit better. So it's been a good shoe, as well as the Speed 5, to just get out and just try to do some steady miles and just sort of like work the legs and keep some sort of sense of fitness. But yeah, I hope there's a bit left in the summer to do a few more races. So hope to see you at some of those. But yeah, training's been a bit reduced of late, but I'm still here and still keen, and we'll get back to it fully as soon as I can feel able to. I think now I'll go out and do a little run now around the lanes around here, just to tick off a few more streets. So is this a shoe that you're interested in? Have you had the version 3? Have you seen the version 4? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, if you find this interesting, like and subscribe on that, and see you next one then. Bye. Oh, and Robin Marbert would like this stuff because there literally is nobody around. This is like the recreation area, and there's a tennis court as well. So it says only for East Meon residents, but I'm not quite sure how that works. But yeah, this is the football ground. So excellent place to come out and do a YouTube video. I'm just sat on the grass here with the camera on the fence. I'm trying out with the iPhone today, iPhone 16. I've recently got that. I've got the GoPro going as well, so in case something messes up. But I thought slightly lower light, so and it sort of captures this back image of the sky quite well, doesn't it? So I hope that comes out. I think the iPhone is great in lower light because it just had that bigger battery, a bit more to it, a bit more modern. So yeah, one of the problems with GoPro is that very poor in low light. You really got to be in bright sunshine for them to work well. And my propensity for running at dusk isn't great for filming videos when it's starting to get a bit darker. Anyway, did I say bye? I'll say that again. Bye. Better put these shoes on for this run anyway. And to prove I can pick up the pace in the Velocity Nitro 4s, the cheeky little CR at the end, and my groin survived as well.